Hello everybody and welcome to Pear Blossom Designs. We are in the Pear Blossom Design Studio. I'm Debbie Monticello and I want to welcome you to the first ever video for my blog, Pear Blossom Designs. What I want to do is, with the video, I think it will give my viewers of my blog a little more personal look into my work and me and what I do. I also think that it's going to lend a little more interest because just reading something all the time gets to be a little dry. And so hopefully this will add a little diversity to it, a little more interest. And so I hope that you will enjoy not only this one, but the future videos that I plan on producing. First of all, let me just give you a real quick background on me and why I am doing this work. I have been a needle worker for many, many, many years. I have experimented a lot with different forms of embroidery, crewel, and kind of cross stitch. And there was a lot of other things in between there too. A lot of artistic endeavors that never really appealed to me long term like needlework did. Now, one of the things that really bothered me for a while with needlework is that it always seems like it was just something that the little lady at home did as a hobby craft. And I could see that it was so much more than that, that it really is an artistic endeavor for those that want to pursue it that way. Now, that's not to say that the women who are doing the kits and the patterns at home and are making heirlooms for their families isn't an artistic endeavor in itself. It certainly is, and it's an important one. But I'm talking about, doing original work. And one of the things that I thought would make needlework, for me, more artistic is to add various elements to it besides just the needlework. So I began exploring with a lot of different embellishments such as glass beads, paints, crystals, ribbons, trims, those kinds of things. And what interested me a lot were the more vintage things that I could add to it. For instance, vintage brooches, which I have a pretty good collection of and I really enjoy, and to me they just demand to be used in a needlework project. The other thing is for me, the importance of using high quality products for my pieces, because what happened a while back is I was in Las Vegas with some friends, and they had an exhibit on Fabergé eggs. And I wanted to see this exhibit so bad, but it got away from me. I wasn't able to attend and regret that to this day. But I looked at what they had on the outside of the exhibit, and it just absolutely floored me. I had no idea that these things existed. I knew that they were out there, but I had never really taken a close look at them. And when I did, I realized the workmanship that went into this, the quality of the products that they use, the gold, the silver, the enameling, and just the workmanship itself, the craftsmanship that went into these things, produced such a product that even all these years later, they're still so prized by museums and private collectors. And to have that kind of longevity, they had to have substance, a great substance, and that was the workmanship and the materials that went into them. And so that really inspired me to think that that is what I wanted for mine as well. And that's all I use, is just high quality, just like an artist would use, wonderful, the top of the line oil paints and brushes and canvases. I use the same thing with my Ada cloth and my different fibers, the paints that I use. Those are all things that I consider to be high quality. So with that, I came up with this idea of doing the mixed media needlework, fiber work, and that brought me to where I am today with it, in trying to more or less get this off the ground and try to get people to notice needlework as being something more than just a little hobby craft, that is done at home. And so I hope that I can accomplish that more, probably not by myself. And there are lots of other wonderful needleworkers out there who are making great strides in the art world. But I hope that I can contribute something to it in order to extend that and make people more aware of it. So that's kind of how, my philosophy, that's kind of, Pear Blossom Designs in a nutshell of what I want to do. And, of course, the work that I'm doing right now is, the first thing that I'm working on is Ladybug Lake. And I've been working on that for a while, since before December. Now, I've got it here with me, and I want to give you a little background on that if you haven't read about it on the blog. The inspiration for this was a trip that my husband and I and some friends made to Mount Scott here in Oklahoma one spring day. It was a gorgeous day. The sky was a perfect blue. We had these wonderful little white puffy clouds in the sky that lent just a wonderful air of spring and renewal, and it was just beautiful. And when we got to the overlook, we noticed that there were all these ladybugs. I mean, there were millions of them all over the place. I don't know where they came from or why they descended on this one spot, or if they were born there, or I don't know what the deal was, but there were millions of them, and I was just amazed and enchanted by it. So it was a magical day, and that particular memory stuck with me when I was looking at some silks, and I happened to see this green and this blue together, and I thought, wow, that is really such a pretty combination. And for some reason, it brought that memory back. So I immediately began to draw a rough draft of what I wanted to chart, and then did a couple of charts on it until I was satisfied with one, and then had the colors already in my head as to what I was going to use on it, and I had all the other things. I had my floche, I had my rayon floss that I was going to use with it, my linen. I had the fabric markers, that I was also going to use on it. So the design came about very quickly, gelled fast, with all of the different components that came together on it. And I have that right here with me. And this will give you a little bit of an idea as far as size too, because it's kind of hard to let you know, or see how big it actually is. But here you can kind of get an idea as far as the size goes. Now, this really is a beautiful blue. This looks very faded here on the screen, but it's actually a very beautiful kind of a turquoisey aqua blue. It's hard to explain what it is, but it's a beautiful blue. The greens are a little bit brighter than they appear here on the screen too. What they say is really true. It just depends on your monitor, on how the colors look. The linen here is wonderfully modeled because I used a marker on the back of the material, and it came through to the front, and it really gave it kind of a unique look and texture look to it. So this, as you can see, is almost done. I've got these few rows to go here, and then there's going to be about 20 below that. Then all I'll have to do is finish using these here, the the little element of looking like it's reflecting, you know, the water is reflecting from the sunlight, and then adding my beads to it, and we'll be done with this. It'll be ready to be framed, which I'm very excited about. And I'm hoping that somehow I can figure out how to make this look more like the colors it really is, but I'm not sure how to do that. I'll have to work on that, I guess. So Ladybug Lake is, there we go. That makes it look a little bit better. So that is soon to be done. Very excited about finishing that. The next thing that's on the agenda here is Oriental Expressions. And this is so exciting to me. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get everything prepped for this so that I can be off and running as soon on this project as soon as I get done with Ladybug Lake. So what that means is I have to get, I've got all of my beads ready. I've got all of the floss ready, and I'm waiting. I had to order some gray silks, and I want to do this in silks because of its association with the Orient. I thought it was very appropriate to use that. And the silks, I didn't have them in all of the grays that I needed, and so I ordered some. I'm waiting on those. As soon as I get those, I'll be able to match those up with my paints, and then I can get started painting the fabric, because I want that to be the base for the stitching that I'm going to do, both with the fibers as well as with the beads and the crystals. This will have Swarovski crystals on it also. So that everything's ready to go on this, except just getting the floss in or the silks in so that I can see what paints to match up with it, and then get that fabric ready to go. Once the paint is on it, then all I'll have to do is start stitching on it. And I want to get that going as soon as I get done with Ladybug Lake. Now, there's several other things working in the queue after I get done with Oriental Expressions. One of the things that I started a while back, and I'm not sure why I lost interest in it, but I did, is this piece right here, which is, and I love these colors. I love the pinks and the greens together. Now, this is a little bit of a darker green. I would have normally used maybe like a peridot green on this, but I use this green because I have got these vintage guilloche brooches that I want to use on these, and this green matches the green on those brooches. They're very petite. They're very sweet looking. I think this would be an absolutely perfect piece for a little girl's room. But not necessarily that. I mean, it can go anywhere, but it is going to be a very sweet piece. And I have these absolutely beautiful vintage rose beads that I want to use on here too. That's, I don't know why I lost interest in it. You know, I'm excited about it now. So that one is all ready to go as soon as I get done with Oriental Expressions. Now, once that one's done, the next thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using this lovely brooch. This vintage brooch I've had, this was probably one of my first acquisitions, and this is a pot metal brooch. So this probably was early 20s, early 30s kind of thing, 20s to early 30s. This, and it's actually, it's what they call paste. The rhinestones were all glued in. They were not set in a setting of any kind, no prongs. They were all glued in. And I polished this. This really took a lot of work to get this to looking like it does today. It did not look like this when I first got it. So it takes a lot of work. I've actually learned a lot about rehabbing vintage jewelry like this. And so this thing has turned out beautifully. I did have a design already for it, but I was not happy with it, and I've been playing with it ever since. So hopefully that design will come to some kind of fruition before I get done with my little guilloche brooch project, because this will be right after that. So that's kind of what's going on now. As far as future plans, I'm not just going to be working with brooches and these other things. I have got a lot of different ideas for mixed media and stitching in mind. And I'm very excited about these ideas and having them come to pass, so that I can show people the work. That needlework really does have a place in the art world. It should be recognized for what it is, which is a lot of work, a lot of commitment by the person who's doing it. And it's not a slapdash project. It takes an enormous amount of time, and you do have to really know what you're doing. After I've done it so long, I do have a feel for the material, for what's working, what's not working, when the floss isn't working right with it, when you know that the texture is wrong. Those kinds of things just come with a lot of experience of working with it over a long period of time. So I'm very excited about doing this work and bringing this to people who hopefully will love and appreciate it as much as I have doing it. And that's basically it in a nutshell as far as what Pear Blossom Designs is all about. Now, I will have other videos in the future that I will be doing, and I hope that they will be informative and interesting and fun, because really this is a lot of fun for me. I relish all of my time in the studio when I can have my needle and thread and I can be working on a project, or if I've got my sketchbooks out and I'm doing, just some sketches on things. That also to me is just a thrill, and I enjoy it so much. So this is a treat for me, and I hope it's a treat for you. And like I said before at the beginning, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or constructive criticism, certainly is always invited. Please do so. And in the meantime, I hope that you have a great weekend, and that I will see you soon, and hopefully you will be back here to see me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.